Yo, what up, friends? The biggest story in the United States today, yesterday, this weekend is that the Senate has passed Donald Trump's policy bill, the big, beautiful bill, as he called it, although in a real petty political move, and by Chuck Schumer. Not that I care about either side of the aisle. I just care about the pettiness of it. But Chuck Schumer made there a provision where it couldn't be called the big, beautiful bill. And because of some, I don't know how, but some kind of leeway or liability within the rule, he was allowed to actually strike it down. So that's some pettiness to 1,000. But either way, it passed 51-50 in the Senate. Now goes to House. Vice President J.D. Vance was the breaking vote in that tie. Dissent came from 3 GOP senators over Medicaid and debt concerns. Tom Tillis being one. He will be stepping down after his term, as Trump said he was going to primary him, which basically means just put an opponent against him. Also, Rand Paul from Kentucky. Hey, this is going to add $3.3 trillion to the debt. I don't know how many times I keep having to say this. Yes, I understand that there are portions of this bill that a lot of people like. I even like portions of it, including no tax on tips, although that only lasts until he's out of presidency and then would be gone with the next president unless the next president decided to keep it going. So what's being kept going here are the Trump tax cuts, but the tax cuts are coming in favor of Medicaid and SNAP benefits. I'm not going to talk all about it again. If you want to go back about a month ago, I talked about this in depth. So go check out, I think it was 34, episode 34. Go check that out and you'll see everything that you need to know about this bill. But it does. It cuts from Medicaid. It cuts from SNAP. And it cutting a lot of people out of those things. A lot of people are going to lose their health care because of this. But not only that, on top of that, this bill is going to add the Congressional Budget Office, which is nonpartisan, says it's probably going to be around $3.3 to $3.8 trillion over the decade that it would increase, while taking up to 85 million to 100 people off of Medicaid, taking people off of life-saving medication and care that they need in order to survive. Now, look, I don't care where you stand about your politics. When people are dying, we don't need to be kicking them off of their health insurance. Again, I don't care where you stand or what you think about work requirements and stuff like that. Should able-bodied people go out and at least contribute to society? Yes, I do agree with that. But there are a lot of people out there that aren't, and even if they're considered able-bodied, could still be disabled in other ways that you may not see with the eyes. And those people need to be considered as well. But anyways, off my soapbox there, I just don't like this bill because it adds so much to the debt, and it comes from the conservative side of the aisle, the Republicans, who are all about cutting the debt, especially when they had Elon Musk and Doge and, we're going to cut the debt and we're going to cut all these programs and this and that. And then you come back and do this. That just, the math ain't mathin', as the kids say these days. I'm just here to bring you the neutral point of view. I don't care about either party, as you know. I hate both parties, but I'm going to give you the facts, and those are the facts. What else are facts? And I apologize. I said 85 million to 100 million. That is not true. Wow. Wowzers. I said my number's incorrect. 8.5 to 10 million people could lose Medicaid. So please let me correct that. I don't want to be cited as spitting false narratives. I said my number incorrectly. Not 85 to 100 million, 8.5 to 10 million people. And 20% cut from SNAP benefits. Despite that, it will be passed. Now it heads back to the House to see what happens there. In other news, there has been someone who has been sort of attacked by President Trump over the past few weeks, and that is the new New York City mayoral nominee, self-proclaimed socialist, Zohran Mamdani, who, by the way, we're not going to start to do this again. All right, we're not. We're not doing this again. I don't care. what side of the aisle again you sit on. I love you regardless of your political party, but we're not doing this again. We're not doing the birthright citizen bullshit that we did with Obama. We're not. We're not doing the same thing we did with President Barack Obama. All right. It's already proven this guy, yes, he was born in Uganda, but he has been in the United States and has been naturalized since 2018. But Donald Trump said that he would, uh, I don't know, said all kinds of stuff about him because Mamdani said that he would keep ICE out of NYC facilities. So um, obviously, we'll see what happens there. But that was crazy. Even that guy won. This Mamdani guy, he had a 1% chance to win, y'all. When this whole like candidacy started like 6 weeks ago. And you will remember we talked about in this program Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo. Yeah, Andrew Cuomo. I'm thinking about his brother, Chris, in my head though. Andrew Cuomo and current mayor Eric Adams were the favorites. This guy had 1% and came out of nowhere. But because he actually related to the people of New York City and promised to them to bring down prices, because apparently a one bedroom or sorry, what is it, a two bedroom or was it a one bedroom was like 3,500 in New York. I'm like, damn, I thought I paid a lot of money here in Nashville, but damn, that's crazy. Wowzers, y'all pay that much in New York? I would never. I would never. I'm moving apartments now because I think I'm paying too much, and I'm only paying 2/3 of that. So, anyways, whatever. That's crazy. Y'all people that live in New York, y'all wild. Anyways, I feel bad for y'all. In other ICE news, here in Tennessee, I got to talk about this. ICE, this is very important that we need to talk about. ICE arrests in Tennessee have more than doubled in 2025, and I know a lot of y'all are cheering. Good, get those criminals out of here, and fine, because I will say that before May, the ICE were actually cracking down on criminals. In the majority of the stops done in Tennessee, uh, since the ICE arrest started until the beginning of May, the majority of the people arrested were criminals. They found 19% had no criminal record whatsoever. They found that it was about 37%, I'm doing it from my head, 37% about thereabouts had a partial criminal or a possible, maybe they had pending charges, stuff like that. And then the other, whatever that is, 44% or 50%, something like that, did have criminal charges. But then in May, that completely flipped. And the people that were arrested within these ICE raids in Tennessee, 70% of them had no criminal record whatsoever. And so this is what I talked about on my short that I created a few weeks ago, y'all. This administration is cutting with a broad swath instead of a scalpel, and it's costing them, especially when it comes to times like this, when now you're arresting 70% of the people that you arrest don't have a criminal record at all. And now you've got to release them back if they're not illegal aliens. Like, what are we doing right now? We said we're arresting criminals. Stick to that. Stop wavering on the issue and stop making mistakes, because the mistakes are unacceptable, because the innocent people, and especially legal people, then get arrested. And that's profiling. And I don't like it as a Spanish person, to be completely honest. As a Puerto Rican man, I don't like it because if I drove, I could probably be profiled myself. Luckily, I don't drive and I stay my ass downtown where they don't profile me. And I got enough money. Anyways, what else here? What else we got in the U.S. news real quick? Let me get it pop, lock, and dropping. Let's see. Oh, also in other news, how about a little bit of this wildness for you? Remember how I just talked about how the big beautiful bill, or it's no longer called that anymore, but remember how I said that was going to increase the debt by up to $3.3 trillion is what they're estimating, or $3.3 trillion. Why is it? Reminds me of that Sagat song back in the 90s. Why is it every time I go outside, these people always want to be talking my head off? Man, funk that. Why is it that they're building an alligator Alcatraz that is estimated to cost, get this, drum roll please, $450 million per year. Per year. Look, I'm all with getting rid of the criminals. And I'm even okay with you getting rid of the illegal ones that are innocent, if that's what you feel like doing, even though we've already gone back on that in agriculture and hospitality. But there is no reason for this. That is a complete waste of money. And I don't care what they said about where they're getting it from, Biden housing migrants and this. I don't care. If you are talking about saving money, which the Republican side of the aisle, the conservatives say they are, if that is truly what you are trying to do, you save money at every turn. I'm saying I'm saving money now. That means I'm cutting down on my expenses, meaning I'm not going out to eat, meaning I'm not going out to have fun, meaning I'm not buying expensive trips. Right? So you can't talk one way and then be another way. Plus, you don't need this. We already have enough jails. We already have enough for-profit jails in this, for-profit prison systems in this country. You don't need more. Just don't put them somewhere else, or keep deporting them like you were before. If they're that criminal, just keep sending them to El Salvador. I don't understand why this is needed. Save this money per year and give it to our veterans. Give it to the homeless. Give it to the mental health. Give it to anything that could help out this damn country, instead of doing stupid shit like this that is performative nonsense for a show. I know he's a reality TV star. I know he was a businessman, but this is all for show. It's all for show, and that's just ridiculous. I cannot be down with spending that much money a year when you say you're trying to save money. I can't be down with that at all. And then on top of the mega bill, you're doing that. On top of the $45 million you spent on a military parade that we didn't need, because everybody already knows we have the best military. Salute to all my veteran brethren. I love you. What are we talking about? What is going to happen is that a lot of rich people are going to get richer. Why don't we be 100 about that? There's a lot of tax cuts that are going to the wealthy. I know y'all keep talking about how y'all are going to get your taxes and this and that, and great, you will. It's estimated that the average American will get $2,000, a little over 2,000, 2,500, 3 back on their taxes, or coming back to them in taxes. Okay, great. That's nothing compared to what the rich people are getting back. So we, the little person, are getting screwed because the rich people are getting more money back on their stuff. I'm tired of getting screwed by the rich person. And I hope to be rich soon. I hope to be a billionaire. I will be a billionaire. But I will also give back. I mean, I already plan on giving back anyways, just to my causes. But I would expect that, just like I expect now, every rich person should have to pay a bunch in taxes. Because if you're making that much money off of society, and most of it, let's be honest, in kind of shady ways, through stock market manipulation, insider trading, so on and so forth, connections, deals, networks that you shouldn't have unless you had a certain amount of money. I mean, when does the little person get a shot? So yes, I think every rich person should have to pay more than their share. I don't even think it should be 35%. I think it should be 40% that they should have to pay. I mean, if you're making millions, billions of dollars, what the fuck does 40%, what does half of it matter to you? None. You don't care. It's like pocket change at that point to you, if you have that much money. Donald Trump did finally get his, it's not even the big, beautiful bill anymore. It's not allowed to be called that. They had to strike that down in
they did?
Moment of pettiness by Chuck Schumer. Yeah, Chuck Schumer entered a bill, like there was a way where he could strike down the name and make them change it. And it was like the last thing he did. It was so petty.
That's great.
So petty.
I actually had Trump's BBB in my notes because I didn't know that Chuck. I mean, that's petty. That's also gangster to an extent. Like, I mean,
it was petty, but I appreciated the pettiness.
Yeah.
But it's not the big beautiful bill.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Okay. Well, it is what it is. That's fine.
But so, anyways, this did get signed into law on Friday, July 4th, by the time that he wanted. Now, we have talked about this on this program before.
Yes, we have.
And while, yes, it will lower taxes for the average American up to $2,000, I think it's like $2,000 to $3,500 on average for most Americans. It will also cut taxes. Now, when I say I'm going to say cut taxes for the wealthy as well, but I did watch Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent
Yeah.
in an interview the other day, which said that the top percent was actually going to 40 from 35, would be a raise in taxes. So I can at least think that that's a good idea. I think the richest people should pay more, obviously. But anyways, this really does cut out from a lot of people who are getting Medicaid, SNAP benefits.
Yes, it
we
does.
talked about, which, by the way, I saw a map earlier that most SNAP benefits go to red states.
Yes.
So a lot of Trump supporters are going to be losing their SNAP and Medicaid
Mhm.
benefits. Let me give a couple more facts on this, and I'm going to come to you. Under the new law, this is from Penn Wharton, the top 20% of their earners will see their net income increase nearly $13,000 a year. The top 0.1% will gain more than $290,000 a year. Well over $3 trillion would be added to the deficit over the next 10 years. And the law also makes cuts to the, as we mentioned, Social Security net, SNAP benefits, Medicaid. Up to 7.8 million people could lose their health insurance by 2034. SNAP could affect more than 40 million people. Older Americans have access to bonuses to help defray senior Social Security taxes, but over time that's going to go away. What is this bill going to cause to American people?
Heartache and strife. Heartache and strife. I have a different number, but I'll go with your number because it's
no. Give me your number too.
That
That's
I
fine.
have with CBO says 3.4 trillion will be added to the Fed deficit over the next 10 years. This is from CBS News. So
yeah, I had the same.
yeah,
I just said three.
Okay, I'm okay with what you had. It's fine. I have green energy policies will be ended. There will be limits on OT and tips deductions, although that may work initially, but we'll see how it plays out in the long term. And just a side note that I added in here that I wanted to see an end to tip culture that we can talk about, but because Australia does it right, I think. But it's going to cause a lot of heartache and strife. You're seeing a lot of people on, I decried social media earlier, but it was on social media, a lot of people in red states who were saying, hey, I've read the bill. I don't like what's in the bill. And by the way, the limit on taxes being decreased, I think for single people, I think it's either 135K annually or 150K annually. So if you make over that, you're getting taxed. Like, there's
which I mean, let's be honest. I mean, those people who are making 150, they're not rich.
They're not rich.
They're not
rich at all. Not today. I mean, maybe in the 80s, but not now. They were Gordon Gekko rich in the 80s, but
what a great reference, my friend.
Wall Street money never sleeps, right? But it's a lot of heartache, a lot of strife. We don't know how we know how things are going to play out when it comes to the midterms, but you don't really know what's going to happen in the next election cycle, if there's going to be another election cycle, because we've yet to see. It honestly feels like he came into power in November, right? So it honestly feels like it's been a couple of years. Like, I mean, we both have families. We both you spend time with families. Time slows down a little bit. It's felt like a couple of years. I'm going to be honest with you. It's felt like a couple of years since he's come into office with the amount of changes that he's made. And
yeah, I think that's for everybody too. I think that's for his supporters too. I think that's for
and
it's just like a lot.
I wish people would, at least, if you're not going to read the full bill, I get it. It's boring. It's a lot like Tolstoy. I completely understand it. It'd be the same way you turned away from Moby Dick in high school, probably. I get that. Read the Cliff Notes at least. I read the Cliff Notes because I'm not. The only thing I'm going to take time for reading is once the Supreme Court is balanced again, and I'll read the decisions coming out there. But until then, I've sort of boycotted the court because of the way they're acting. Biggest thing
What do you think of this? I agree
yeah,
completely with term limits. I believe that, first of all, there should be no politicians over the age of 70, regardless. I think after 75, you should have to retire from the government.
I'd be okay with that.
I think I could even go 75 at the oldest, but that would have to be it, because at that point, your ideas are not the ideas of the new America.
No, they're not.
At that point, it's America is a new generation by that point.
And there comes a point when you
also,
have
I
to
do agree
retire.
with term limits.
There comes a point when you have to
for
retire too.
all politicians.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. There should be, there should be term limits, 100%. I mean, there's still people in office who I was on their campaigns when I was like, in like 19, 20 years old. Like, at some point you have to reinvent yourself. You have to do other things. And you okay? And
yeah, I was laughing.
Okay, and so you do have to reinvent yourself. You do have to be a better person. There's this line of thought that's from I ripped it straight from Doctor Who, but basically, like, you change every time you regenerate. Okay, cool. Like, every now and again, like, I'm in my early 40s. At some point, I'm probably going to need to reevaluate who I am and change who I am, make myself better. Be like, okay, I can't do what I did before. That's what these politicians have to do. And if they're not going to have term limits, Congress isn't doing anything to set term limits. That's the problem. Like, they don't want to do any of that, and
because they all want to keep their jobs for life, But
the thing is you're going to get voted out if you don't move things forward. Now, if you think you're moving things forward with, well, whatever Chuck Schumer wants to call this bill now, then by all means, go right ahead and feed into the Lulu, by all means. But at some point, I think I'm not going to, I think they'll agree with me. The Timmy Kanes, the Mark Warners, Dick Durbin, I think, is now retired. Just, it's okay. Like, you can move on and do other things.
We all got to move on at some point. Father time calls the call. The athletes, they got to be gone by 40. We don't get to have. I can't have me and Amul as Boston fans. We didn't get Larry Bird till he was 80. We lost him to the back at 35. Like, what?
And I mean, LeBron James isn't going to stay in the league forever. Like, I think next year is his last year for sure. I think at least that's the way it's. We can talk about that in sports, because he did sign his deal, but his deal only left him as an unrestricted free agent next year, which probably means either retirement or having to go somewhere he may not want to go. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Yeah, that's fine.
No more sourcing politicians when drinking at the bar, sir. Apparently, that's where they all meet and commingle. You would have to ask.
Okay, look, Mike, they did redo Hawk and Dove, so we don't do that anymore. They did turn Hawk and Dove. Hawk and Dove, no lie, was an establishment where you source politicians while drinking at a bar. It was in the back room, and I think that back room still exists, but they redid the main floor, so it's more of an upscale establishment now. 900 pages. I don't know.
900 pages.
And I don't even read
the instructions. That's a good one.
See,
I read the instructions just so I don't have to deal with it later. But
Michael's right, though. Like, how often do we actually read, like, the terms and conditions of the apps that we download?
No, not at all.
I don't
have time for that.
Did AOC work? Okay, I'm not going to answer that question.
Whoa! You can't put that on there.
You can't answer. I'm not going to answer that question. Okay. I will plead the fifth and move to strike it from the record.
I'm starting to get some momentum on this show. I'm trying.
He's not trying to get canceled. Like, we appreciate the effort. We appreciate the effort, though. I do. We do appreciate.
So moving on from that, though, billionaire Elon Musk has now come out and said, because of this bill, that he now wants to create a new political party called the American Party to challenge the two-tier system in America. He also says that it would not be obviously feasible for it to be a full-flung political party, which would compete everywhere. But he says if he can get 8 to 10 House seats and 2 to 3 Senate seats that he could target for kind of like takeover, that he would be able to start implementing policies that he would be looking to implement after this bill that, boosted up the deficit, or is going to boost up the deficit. What do you think about this new America Party?
We were 10 when Ross Perot was around. How'd that go? How'd that go? And to Mike's point, yes, I did watch.
I do.
I did watch Don't Look Up.
I do want to pay. I do want to at least play a little bit of advocate there.
Go ahead,
because
we should do a point counterpoint segment.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, let me counterpoint that real quick. That's counterpoint that. I don't know why I just didn't say that, but yes, it didn't necessarily do much in terms of becoming a major political party that had influence like the Republicans or the Democrats, but over time, we've seen the independent parties, the Libertarians, the Green Party, et cetera, that have come along and maybe have not become a major party, but what a great word, bifurcation. But they have made at least a little bit of a dent. They have been able to implement policies in places. They have been able to take vote counts away from more popular parties. Yes, while it probably won't become a third party, so to say, where they're all 33%, there is nothing that says that they can't make an impact.
I think we're more independent as a nation now than we were during the Obama years. And I'm not necessarily, I was sort of being catty before and glib with, that's a nice word, glib with.
That's a great word. You're just dropping the vocab right now, my friend.
This is why you have me on, is to raise the level of literary.
I use it. I mean, first of all, no. You know better.
I know. I was messing with you. I've watched your show when I'm not on. It's
if I was E40, I say something like my vocab the size of the Grand Canyon. You know what I mean? Like, come on now, don't try that with me. I used to study the dictionary.
I know you did. You know. Okay. Anyway,
I did good work.
Thank you.
Let's keep it moving.
But I forgot what the question was about. Geez, this is what happens when we're on.
We're talking about the America Party.
So I wouldn't want Elon to run it. I would want someone else to run it. If there's going to actually be a third independent party, and they should actually truly wholeheartedly be independent. What I mean by that is they didn't work in, this administration. I know why he's doing it. I get why he's doing it. All respect to him. He's to a certain degree, he's made good decisions over his career to a certain extent. Some missteps, but we all make mistakes in life. And so, I think that if there's going to be a third party, that it should be wholeheartedly independent. And we've yet to see that. But I will say this, to your point, and maybe to Elon's to an extent, that this whole generation that's coming up behind us, if they have to keep enduring what they're enduring now, that we might have more independent thinkers in the long term, as opposed to those that side with Democrats, those that side with Republicans. And if that's the case, hey, that's fantastic. I don't think it would be a good idea for Mr. Musk to. I think Musk should focus on shuttles that don't blow up first before he focuses on another party.
But there was 1.2 million people that voted in his poll to see if they wanted it, and 65.5% were actually in favor of this.
I mean, we're at a point. I was talking to another good friend of mine, like staunch Democrats, sure, but I think we're more independent than we used to be. In that, like, it's just, to have that independent line of thought, to think about the way, our lives have been. The amount of world events that we've had to live through as millennials, elder millennials now, like, we need some solace that the future is going to be okay.
Subscribe on YouTube at Ball and Buds.